Thank you so much for talking to me, Jocelyn, about
Yeah.
your play. To be honest with you, when I was told that I could interview, I was really excited because I read your script maybe a few years ago when it was going to the USA, and I was like, this is so good.
Oh,
I
thank you.
absolutely loved it because it's light, but at the same time, it's not, there's important topics, but it's an all-rounder, entertaining. So really
Thank you.
excited. So thank you so much for talking to me. Um, Although I know the play, I wanted you to just to tell us a bit more about the play and what it's about. If that's okay.
Yeah, so Schoolgirls is a play that is set in 1986 in a boarding school in Ghana, in West Africa. And it centers around a group of girls, namely this one girl, Paulina, and her crew. And she's very excited because a Miss Ghana pageant recruiter is coming to the school, and she's clearly a shoo-in to be picked and recruited for the pageant. Except there's a new girl from America who transfers into the school, who is a much lighter hue than Paulina. And essentially, comedy and drama ensue. But yeah, I mean that's kind of like the shorthand version. I mean, I think it's a widely universal story because we've all been to school, we've all experienced, our own issues and journey with self-esteem. But I always knew that I wanted to write about colorism and my kind of journey to loving and owning my own beauty as a dark-skinned woman. And I just didn't want the story to feel heavy and dark. That's just not where I live as a writer. And so I kind of came across this story, which is actually slightly inspired from a true story that happened in Ghana in 2011. And I just thought, I don't know, why not put it all together? And so I did. And years later, here's the play finally making its UK debut, which I'm thrilled
Yeah,
about.
I'm so excited. And that was going to lead me to my question, which was what inspired you to write the play? So you said so it was a story that you heard, as in the
Yeah,
part
yeah.
time pageant.
Yeah, I came across this story many years ago,
Mhm.
actually, years before I even wrote the play, of a kind of like scandal that had happened in Ghana, where they had the Miss Ghana pageant officials had brought over a young woman from the US who was biracial. Her father was Ghanaian, her mother was white, but she grew up, in the US. All her life. And they brought her over to Ghana to compete in the Miss Ghana pageant. And she won. And she beat out some like kind of up and coming models at the time. And it just became kind of a scandal, I guess, because she was so fair skinned. She was American. It just felt like, how is this really someone who's representative of Ghana? And obviously, Ghanaians, can be anywhere. I'm a, born and bred New Yorker who rightly, proudly claims Ghana as well, but it just felt very, suspicious.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it made like Ghanaian news blogs, obviously it was a national news, but
Mhm.
I just thought it was kind of, fascinating that they had gone, to me, what felt like great lengths to try to secure a more competitive candidate in someone who was lighter skinned. And I just was very surprised by that. So I kind of just like logged the story. And then
Mhm.
years later, when I knew I wanted to write a play that was kind of set in a school, in a boarding school, I went to boarding school
Mhm.
myself. And my mother went to the boarding school that Schoolgirls is set in.
Oh
So
wow,
I
okay.
kind of knew I wanted to like put all those elements together in some way. And so and that's what happened. I mean, it's also like this draft, the draft you read, the draft that everyone will see is also like the like 37th draft of the play.
Mhm.
I tried all kinds of different ways of like kind of highlighting the story. And, ultimately when I just simplified it to just this like cafeteria, four scenes, and that was it, the story kind of broke open. So um yeah, it really feels like it came from a weirdly organic place, even though it was loosely inspired from this
Yeah, yeah.
story.
It's so the play itself, so it's set in 1986. And it's interesting because colorism, no, even though time has gone by, the issues still remain the same and the topics are still as they were, sadly, then as they are now.
Yeah.
And my kind of question for you is, what would you like the audience to kind of take away from the play, especially with these kind of themes? Because I think they're not explored enough in theatre, and they're really, they're really huge within our community. So it's like really important that they are explored and that people of all races understand that this is actually a big issue that is going on. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think my goal is always just to educate people, but not make them feel like they've been,
yeah,
educated. It's really about experiencing and going on a journey, with someone. Sometimes I think people don't really understand, racism and colorism, which are, obviously completely one is the other's, child,
mhm,
right? So
mhm,
um I think people don't really understand a lot of those things. They kind of know that they exist maybe as a concept and don't even recognize their own implicit biases
yeah,
when they encounter it. And so it's really just about educating people and making people understand and walking someone through someone else's shoes, literally,
mhm,
um, and hopefully inspiring them to shift whatever ideologies or implicit biases they have in their own lives. I mean, I have no real solution to colorism other than to just stop it. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's like in the same way with racism or bigotry or homophobia, like just stop.
mhm,
That's people.
mhm,
But that's such a simple, solution that to a very complex issue. I mean,
yeah,
this goes back historically, hundreds and hundreds of years.
yeah,
It's a systemic issue that we unfortunately can't escape. We now just have to live
mhm,
with it.
mhm.
Um, and my hope is to just try to shift people's perspectives ever so slightly, by making them laugh and then making them think.
And then what a good way you've done that, because sometimes a little bit of laughter can slightly soften the blow, but still give them enough to think deep about,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is important. I love that the play is set in a school, and I think we can all kind of like think back of school memories and yeah, mean girls and
yes.
nice girls as well. Um, is there a character in the play that relates to you the most, or that you feel reminds you of you in a way?
Yeah, I've been asked that before. And initially I was just like, no, but I think I mean I think there's bits of me in every single character, honestly, even in
Yeah.
the ones that can be perceived as mean. Um, because even though I didn't have that kind of vim when I was in high school, I just didn't. Um, I maybe thought it, or I had the
Yeah.
thoughts and I just never was brave enough to like say the words. So I think there's bits of me in everyone. But I think the character now I can say that I feel like I truly relate to the most um, is Amma. And she's Paulina's best friend. And kind of when we start the play, there's like clearly a fissure in their relationship. But you're not really sure what it is. And obviously over the course of the play, it kind of reveals itself. But I feel like I'm a lot like her because I just wanted to be a good student. I just wanted to like be right. I just wanted to feel good in my skin. And I feel like I could not stand up to these kind of bully types who purported themselves to be my best friend.
Yeah.
I didn't have the courage to stand up to them. And um, I mean, in the play, Anna kind of has that journey, but I
Yeah.
never did. So I feel like I kind of wrestled with that for years and years, well into my adulthood. I feel like even as an adult, I like ended up in friendships, that were kind of mean girlish, and
Yeah.
which is why I think it's important to have adults in this play as well. There's only two
Mm.
characters, but you know, young people who go unchecked, whose attitudes and energies um, go unchecked, just grow up to be adults with those same
Yeah.
energies and vibes. And um, I was kind of surprised that I was like, oh my God, I'm in my 30s and I'm like dealing with some like mean friend. Like, what the hell? It was really weird. Um, so I feel closest to her, and I feel like I wrote the version of her bravery and her willingness to like stand up for herself is the version I wish I would have been, when I was her age. So there's my little, you know, moment of victory, I guess, in the play that I
Yeah.
never had in real life.
But it's nice that the character that you've created, she's almost like what you would have wanted to have done, but so that's nice that there is that character. And also it helps other people to feel encouraged when they watch
Yeah.
the play. Because I think we've all gone through stages where we've like been friends with people that you think are okay, but they're really mean. And it's
Yes.
scary and it's almost I guess scary is not the right word, but it's intimidating sometimes to check them because
Hmm.
you don't know how they're gonna react. So I guess Amma will give someone the confidence to check their
I,
friends.
let's hope so. Let's
Yeah,
hope
I
so.
hope so. Um, have you had any kind of creative direction with the UK play for rehearsals, or how does it work once as the play goes transfers to the UK?
Yeah, I was completely involved in the process from the beginning. And this has actually been um long in the works since like pre-COVID, since the
Oh
before
wow.
time. Um, I had been really working quite hard to get the play produced in the UK. And it
Nice.
actually wasn't until kind of deep into 2020 where the lyric Hammersmith became an
Mhm.
option of a place that we could do the play at. Um, so yeah, we've been kind of working at it for quite some time now. Um, Once things were solidified with the lyric, then it was just about me coming to the UK. I live in New
Mm.
York, so it was just about me coming to the UK. I feel like I live there now. I've been to the UK like I 5 times or something in like the last year and a half. It's like why I like know the streets now. And so yes, I've been wildly involved. In the first, I was there for the whole first week of rehearsal
Mm.
to kind of like help set everything off. I was involved in the choosing of the set design, the cast, the wig designs, costumes, everything.
Wow.
I've been involved in everything. And it's only for a good reason. I'm pregnant, actually.
Oh,
And,
congratulations.
thank you. And I'm due in 3.5 weeks. So that is
Stop
the
it.
only reason why I am not in the UK right now, because I literally need to be home.
Of
Um,
course. Wow.
so it is quite bittersweet that I'm finally
Mhm.
like, it's like a birth, it's like two births where I'm finally
Yeah.
getting to do this play you know, in a country that I've always wanted the play to be done in. And then I'm also experiencing motherhood for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations. That's really exciting. So you've really been involved in the whole process in that
Yeah,
case.
yeah. From beginning and hopefully to the end. I mean, we would love for the show to um be wildly successful and maybe continue having a future somewhere else in the UK.
Mm,
West End would be lovely.
fantastic. And
Yeah,
it
so
should.
we're hopeful. Yeah, we're hopeful. We're hopeful.
Is there a hope for it to go? Because I can see it as a movie, to be honest, because I just think it really has that kind of potential to just be either a series or a standalone film. Would you be interested in having it go to that kind of level? Would you rather it stay on the
You
stage?
know, I did. I actually um had written Schoolgirls as a series,
Okay.
um, and sold it to a network and everything. And you know, ultimately they didn't end up picking up the show. And we shopped it around to other networks, and it didn't end up working out. Um, which is kind of like a bittersweet, but also like very truthful journey. Like this has been truly the most incredible um, and successful piece of work that I have written. It has been produced in America 60 times and
Wow.
um, has really created all of my career, even as a writer in TV and film. Almost every single person who hires me for a job, they read that play and hired me for a writing job. So it's in a weird way, it's been so successful, but I'm still experiencing the same things that most Black artists experience when we're trying to kind of break into a new realm or elevate to a new level. I just encountered people who couldn't get the vision, who didn't understand the universality of these girls just because they were like six Black girls in a school. So I hope, that
Yeah.
maybe something will shift and change, but um, I'm always open to it. But as of
Yeah.
right now, yeah, I tried. It just didn't work out.
Oh, but it will. There'll come a day and I'll be like, yes. I knew it was going to be a series or a film. No, I mean, the play itself, like everything. I mean, I'm super excited to see how it's going to look in real life because I kind of just imagined it in my head from reading your script, but
Sure.
it's just it's just so like it's so rich in character and like just in each character's like perspective of life and what they're going through. And I love watching plays that kind of show like high school stuff. I know it sounds really random, but they're really
No,
entertaining because they impact our lives as, you
it's
know,
such a formative time. Like I think we never like really think about that, right? We kind of like go to school, we get through school, and we're like, great, now we're adults and we have to like do whatever it is we have to do. But we spend a huge part of our lives just being students, just
yeah,
being in school, interfacing with people that we would maybe never interface with for the rest of our lives. And they have such a huge impact, though, on who we are as people. There's experiences you have with someone, there's first loves, there's first heartbreak,
mm,
all of these things that you experience when you're maybe 13, 14, 15, that impact the rest of your life, that like
yeah,
completely color how you view love, how you view your self-esteem. Like, and I wish we kind of circled in and honed in on that a lot more, especially in theater.
yeah,
Um, because it really is such a formative time, and there's people who are 90 years old who still remember an experience that they
yeah.
had in high school or middle school, or I guess the UK version would be primary school
Primary
or
school,
secondary
yeah.
school. Yeah. So I think that that's important. I may never explore those years again in any other work.
Yeah,
But I feel really proud of being able to have done that in Schoolgirls. Really proud of
yeah.
myself for being that
No,
honest.
no,
Um,
you should. I was going to ask you how you got into writing because you're so good.
oh, bless you. Thank you. It was kind of an accident. When I was in college, I was a theater acting major,
Okay.
and I went to a really predominantly white university. And so obviously the school and the shows that they picked for actors to be in were tailored to um, actors who did not look like me. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't getting cast in a lot of plays. I was not getting enough credits that I needed for my degree.
Yeah.
And so I took a playwriting course to compensate for those credits. And
Yeah.
I found that I really enjoyed it, and I really liked putting together little plays, and I was writing short plays and things like that. And my professor, which is why I love teachers so much, my professor was like, I think you have a really good ear for dialogue. And as you apply to graduate schools, I think I would like to encourage you to think about applying to graduate school as a writer. And I was like, really? Okay, had truly not thought about it before.
Yeah.
But because she, kind of planted that seed, I was like, maybe I should. So I did apply to some schools as an actor, and I applied to some schools as a writer. And I got into Columbia University's playwriting master's program. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. Like, I can still continue to be a working actor in New York, but if I want to be a successful playwright, I feel like I should maybe devote some years to that. And so I did. And so I did. And I still work as an actor now, but the writing definitely, I'm glad I made that choice because the writing definitely paid off.
No, that's really awesome. I have some very quick fire questions for you, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's just whatever comes to your head. The first one is your favorite theatre space that you've been to, and it can be anywhere in the world.
Oh boy. My favorite theater space. You know, I really love I really love this theater in Chicago, the Goodman Theater. Um,
Okay,
it's just such a beautiful theater.
nice. I've never been, but it'll be on
Yeah,
my list. If I ever
yeah,
go to Chicago, I'm going there.
yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Nice. And your favorite theatre show that you've seen?
Oh, I have so many. So many, but I think I have three. I think I have
Okay.
three. They're all musicals, which is rare,
Hmm.
but one of them is this musical called Passing Strange.
Okay.
Um, I just think it's like such a cool kind of rock, black rock musical, and I just really loved it. I really loved the musical In the Heights when I first saw it because that's actually the neighborhood I grew up in New
Oh,
York. So it was cool to see like my neighborhood on a Broadway stage.
yeah.
And I think the one that was most life-changing for me was Fela, which was about the artist Fela Kuti's life. They did it on Broadway maybe like 10 or so years ago. And like that's the music we grew up listening to in my house, like it was all Afrobeat all the time, high life, hip life. So seeing that on a Broadway stage was like mind-blowing. So those are my three. They changed my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And your dream guest is someone you would like to come to the lyric to watch your play, and they can be dead or alive.
And no question, Oprah Winfrey. No question. Or Beyonce. I know she's around right now.
She is, so she should
If she,
come.
if she could just stick around for like another couple weeks, she could see my play.
Exactly.
Yeah, Oprah or Beyonce for sure.
Yeah, they're good ones. They're very good. I would like to sit next to them at your play.
I
Um,
know.
your proudest career moment to date.
My proudest career moment was probably opening the very first opening night of Schoolgirls. Um, I just never thought I'd finally get a play produced anywhere. And it was just the most magical, amazing night.
Mm.
And the kind of cherry on top was just that, like, the reviews came in that evening. It's a little different in America, but the reviews come in that night, and they were all just like rave review after rave review. And it just felt so validating, that like
Well,
I could stay true to myself, true to my voice. And that other people would recognize that. It was really a great night.
and the last five question for you is the person who has had the greatest impact on your career.
I'd say my sister, my older sister. She's my biggest supporter. My older sister Jackie, yeah. She's my biggest supporter, my biggest cheerleader. She's basically like my, publicist. Like she's amazing. And she has nothing to do with theater. She has nothing to do with the arts. She just really, really loves and supports me in a way that I wish everyone had that kind of love and support in
Mhm.
whatever they do. So Yeah, my sis is the best. She'll be there for me on
Oh,
opening night.
oh
It's the
yay.
lyrics and I can't. So
Yeah, that's lovely. That's so nice. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm
ooh,
very excited to watch the play. I cannot wait, to be
thank
honest.
you. Thank you. I can't wait either. Yay, it's getting so close.
I
So
know.